but they're saying, hey, just be free. They're like, that doesn't feel fair to me, and I think that's fair. I mean, there is no one, what was the path for you? It's so great. And I also think it's great to tell people like you too can be free of this, but there's a wide range of experience. And some people can't get to where you are. And some people, when they get there, they're not happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want people to have what you have. I wish that could be everybody.
Well, I'll tell you, look, if I had moved to LA when I was 22, I'd be dead for sure from anorexia and a cocaine overdose. Absolutely. So I encourage people to move to Los Angeles when they're 40. It's very powerful, with a husband, with a child, because you have a lot more to worry about than, oh, am I the hottest person at this party? Because I'll tell you, LA is another place that reminds you, and I do this all the time. I go to parties now or events, and I think I'm going here to have fun and enjoy my life, because believe me, in LA, for sure, there's somebody hotter, way thinner, younger, more. But I'm at a point in my life. It's like also, and I equate this even to like this miscarriage I had, right? It's like, these things you have to like grieve and mourn. And like, these are really experiences happening to you. And then it's like, or I can go to this party and I can spend the entire night here thinking about, oh, I wish I was 26 again and I looked younger and I was hotter, but what good is that going to do me? I'm not going to have any fun the entire night and meet somebody. So, I have two choices, I have two choices with my miscarriage. It sucks. And yes, I'm grieving, or I can think, okay, what is the next logical step? If I know I want to have one more healthy child, I have to be realistic to some point. How am I going to do that in the most positive, healthy way?
Yeah. I mean, that comes to what's the story I'm telling myself. Right. But I just want to, like, I think I don't want to go in the militaristic way of saying everybody should be one thing or another.
Yeah.
I don't think we should judge each other. I think people should do what you're describing for me is like the best way to be. And you're not sort of stuck in a perimeter though. You didn't like let go of dieting mentality and then, go crazy and, you don't have that addiction, that food addiction in your brain where you crave without stopping food. I mean, you felt it when you were highly restricting. There was a constant food talk in your brain.
Oh my God, for years. I mean, never stopped. And everything I ate, nothing was enjoyable because it was always, oh, you shouldn't be eating this, or this is so many calories, or how much exercise are you going to do tomorrow too? And it wasn't about taste. That's the other thing I learned through mindfulness. What worked for me, doesn't work for everybody. What worked for me is like actually not driving and stuffing your face with food. It was like, stop, eat the food. And of course, what you find out is lots of times all these things that you think, all these cupcakes and chips, and there's a great exercise you and I did. And it's, I think, I don't know if Janine Roth was the first to do it, but that one of taking a plate and you put a raisin on it, an orange slice, a Hershey Kiss,
Right.
a potato chip, and you have to slowly eat them and actually taste them.
Mm-hmm.
And see, once I started doing that, and again, this was like it wasn't like I did this for 3 weeks and suddenly like, oh, amazing. But over time, coming back to it over and over, I realized like a lot of these things I don't even enjoy. Like a Hershey Kiss is so nasty.
Yeah.
It's not the chocolate that I want. I really
not what I want.
I want a delicious cupcake. So eating 100 Hershey Kisses because they only have 8 calories.
Yeah.
Ain't going to get me to the point. It just makes you miserable.
It's like that crazy thinking.
Crazy. Yeah.
But also, I mean, when you slow down and really taste a potato chip, which is usually highly processed food, very, very, very high fat, high salt. They're the highly palatable foods, high salt, high fat, high sugar. Our brain, it releases dopamine. We're supposed to like it because in terms of evolution, that would put on fat and we could survive the lean times on the savannah, whatever, our brain craves it. So if you if you have an addictive part of your brain that gets stuck there is how I think of it. I mean, probably the real thing is actually what's happening is different, but your reward system gets stuck there, and fast food is designed intentionally to hook you.
Yes.
High fat, high salt, high. It's horrible. So you just get addicted. Your brain is addicted to those things. For people who have a tendency toward addiction, it becomes almost impossible to stop. It's really sad. It's crazy. But, that's what's happening. It's actually going biology. It's not that you're weak.
Do you think most people know that about food? The additives and things in foods are addictive. Like we know it with alcohol, right? You know it with
Right.
cocaine. You know it with these things because they you know that they can become very addictive, and you hear many stories. But do you think people still know or even have any idea what's in our foods? That's the other thing I always like rail about. I'm like, God, these drug companies spend billions of dollars to get us on all these medications, but they won't,
Yeah.
we won't ever like address the shit that's in our food, the highly processed crap and all the additives that we allow in breads and chips and fast foods that like Europe has banned. Like they won't even,
I
go to
know.
Europe, they won't even allow that crap in for their children. And it's like, okay, what's your thoughts?
It's also really privileged to not have to think about it. I mean, if you there are these food deserts, people that have low income maybe can only afford these highly processed foods. Yeah, it's a huge problem. But the addiction can come from any foods, like even, something you make yourself. But in the food industry, it might look like a healthy meal. It's like a chicken meal, but they've at some place, I don't know, I'm not going to name a restaurant, but these places where they highly like add sugar, add fat. It's not just chicken. And then it might be natural sugar and fat, but they amp it up so that your brain is like, I'm going to come back for that. Because I've read before where your brain does the same thing with that kind of highly palatable food as it does with crack.
Yes.
It's addictive.
Yes.
So some people are less prone to that kind of addiction. They don't even like it. Just like people with alcohol, like, they can take it or leave it. They're not going to do too much of it because they don't like it. They don't have that in their brain. That doesn't mean they're better people morally. They're just not addictive in their brain. And some people are. And so it's a very complicated thing. And it's how it worked for you is so great, but it's not going to work that way for everybody, and people shouldn't feel bad that they weren't able to, get there.
Yeah.
In the same way you could.
And like, I mean, you and I've talked about this. I've even been criticized by the intuitive eating community because I'm of your belief. Like, if you want to lose weight, lose weight. If you don't, fine. If, if you're happier. So I will often I wasn't happy when I was 50 pounds heavier than I am now, mostly because I actually physically felt awful. My knees ached, my thighs, chafed together. I mean, it was so hard to move around. So I often post like, this is what I was. And then mindful eating helped me to be where I am now, where I don't think about my body or weigh myself. I have no idea what I weigh. And, this is the happiness. Well, posting a side by side, intuitive eating people have come on and been like, you're encouraging people to diet. And there's so much judgment within the own community of like, you didn't do it our way,
Totally. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of judgment. I don't even know. I was coming on here. I was like, people feel strongly about this stuff, So we'll see what people think. I'm happy to hear what people think. I mean, I think it's a moving target. I just want everybody to feel freedom and happiness and freedom from obsession about food and body.
Yes.
And when you get there, it's like, that feels incredible. And I think there are people who get there and they're bigger than they want to be for all kinds of reasons, not just vanity, but also other things, feeling, like you were saying, I don't feel good. I can't exercise like I want to and all that stuff. But they're afraid to to try something because it might send them back into it. And I say again, just trust yourself. Trust yourself, trust yourself, trust yourself. If that feels like it's sending you back into it, then stop doing the semaglutide. Do something, come back to where it feels good, where it feels okay.